Have a good day on purpose.
Yes, ma'am.
And what Tabitha say? And even if you having a bad one, don't you dare go messing up
Don't
nobody
you dare go messing up nobody. Yes, I love it. Yes. All right, let me let everyone in.
Look, got my Skills USA notebook.
Yes, I love it.
They had these in the little store at Nationals. I was like, they cute.
Yeah, that is cute. Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Morning.
Hey, y'all.
Good morning. What's today?
I should say good morning.
Let's go ahead and get started. So, good morning, everyone. I'm just here real quick to just give a little brief introduction because I am not actually hosting, or I'm hosting, but I don't have nothing to do with with this meeting today because I also need to learn about skills. I am trying to get my students involved in Skills USA this school year, but I'm actually getting ready to let Miss Douglas take over as the host so that she can share her screen.
All right. Good morning, everyone. So my first question is, what states? I know we have Texas represented, Georgia. What other states are here? Or is that it? Anybody?
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. Okay. And then is that it? So Texas, Georgia, and Oklahoma? So my next question would be, how many of you all already have a Skills USA chapter established?
I do.
Okay. So is it Lindy and Christy? You all do not? No. Okay. Thank you, Christy. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start there with getting not just getting your chapter established, but also getting an understanding of the Skills USA resources that are available to us. I will say this, and this is something that has been addressed with Skills USA, that when navigating the website, sometimes it can be very overwhelming because it is a lot of information, and then there's a lot of information in different places. So what I want to talk to you all about today versus, and hopefully Carla will be able to go into the specific competitions, but I really want to talk about navigating the Skills USA website because it's a lot. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and take you all to skillsusa.org. All right. So when you go to Skills USA, and every state does have their own website. So we know that Skills USA, as far as competition goes, is structured to have regional, state, and national competitions. For regionals for cosmetology, our regional competitions are always going to align with our national competition. So we have cosmetology, nails, aesthetics, barbering. However, you will also see state specific, like state only competitions that do not move on to nationals. So when you're looking at the resources for nationals, they are always going to be speaking specifically what happens on the national level. What each state does individually is up to them. So for example, the structure of Skills USA from the national level to the state level to the regional level is going to be very different for everybody as far as your region goes. So Skills does ask that every state gets teachers involved with helping make the decisions as to what's going to happen with their competitions. So here in Georgia, on our regional level, they take the national standards and they minimize them because national takes place over the course of 3 days for the cosmetology and barbering and aesthetics competitions, whereas regionals is just 1 day. So there's no way possible to be able to do all of that at the same time. So just understand that whenever you're going to the national website and pulling information, all of it is not going to apply to what's happening at your regional competition or even your state competition. So always get very familiar with your state website. All right, now with the national website, if you're looking to establish a chapter, when you go under membership resources, all you have to do is click on start a chapter, and all of the information that you're going to need to start your chapter is going to be right here on the national website. So they have a membership kit. There are videos that you can use. There's one for educators that gives you a little quick information. There's one for students. Even establishing business partners, there's a video for them. So there's a lot of information that will help you to walk through the process of starting your chapter. If your school has never chartered a chapter, over here on the left of the screen where you see chapter charter application, this is where you're going to go to complete or get the information so that you can actually get your chapter chartered nationally. Okay. You do want to make sure that you're aware of the deadlines for your state as well as for nationals. So every school year, once school starts, your state will let you know or should send out some information as to when you have to have all of your students enrolled in skills. As now, and also keep in mind that not only do the students need to join skills, the teachers need to join Skills USA as well. So you both will have memberships. As a teacher, you'll have a professional membership and your student will have a student membership. You cannot be an advisor if you are not a member of Skills USA. It will be up to your district if they will cover the cost of your membership or not. My district does not, but some people's, because it's a part of your program of work, they will cover the cost. So that's a conversation to have with your district. Some other things under the membership section, there's resources for your program of work. Is everyone familiar with what the program of work is? I can't see you, so hold on. Where y'all at?
No.
No. Okay. So with the program of work, because skills is co-curricular, means it should be built into your curriculum as a part of your standards. There are certain things that you are responsible for doing as an educator. So basically, the program of work is just giving you a roadmap for planning and implementing your chapter activities. So there's several tiers that are covered in the program of work, which are highlighted here: workplace experiences, partner and alumni engagement, leadership development, advocacy and marketing, community engagement, and financial management. All of this is covered in the curriculum that Skills USA has provided. However, when you are, and this goes into also getting a stipend. So we have our local extended day, which means that we're paid locally by our district because of the need for classes. And then you have your program of work extended day. If you are paid on program of work extended day, it comes with a lot of paperwork. So that means basically you are being paid to manage your Skills USA chapter on your campus. And so there are certain things as a teacher that you're going to be responsible for doing with your program of work. Let's see. There are actually workbooks that will help guide you through each section of your program of work. So, for example, there is a program of work launch guide 1, 2, and 3. There's also different category worksheets, which when I go into Skills USA Absorb, I will show you how to access that there. What else did I want to mention before I move on to Absorb? And we're going to talk a lot more. We might actually have to have a whole session over program of work because it's a lot. Okay. Everything else you can kind of look through on your own. Now, under programs, they have the program of work, of course, which we'll continue to talk about. Your Skills USA Career Essentials. This helps you to actually manage and run your meetings. with your students, as well as helps in your classroom. So standard, well, in Georgia, it's the standard one, which is the employability standard. I'm assuming that would be the same everywhere. But the employability standard, the career essentials curriculum helps a lot with that employability standard. And one thing about skills I will say is they have developed lesson plans for us to really dive into each area, and it all ties directly back into the program of work. And with skills goal being to get students workforce ready, it's the perfect thing that you need to get those the curriculum for employability skills. So it takes the stress off of us with that. As a part of your educator program of work, you are expected to be at minimum a quality chapter under the chapter excellence program. So with the chapter excellence program, you do have to pay attention to the deadlines for the application. So the levels, level 1 is quality chapter, level 2 is chapter of distinction, and level 3 is model of excellence. So there are certain things that your chapter is expected to do in order to achieve these levels. And they're very simple. Quality chapter is the easiest one. It's going to be something as simple as making sure that you have officers, making sure that you have a meeting, making sure that you've done a fundraiser, and completing the application. So, something that simple, and you're now get your quality chapter award. You also have to make sure your membership dues are paid. You have to have at least one activity within the 3 framework components of personal skills, workplace skills, and technical skills. These are things that you're automatically going to do when you establish a chapter, so it's not difficult to get the quality chapter award. Again, it is mandatory that you submit for a quality chapter if you are on receiving your program of work stipend. Chapter of distinction, of course, you do this is a second tier. So you're going to do your quality chapter first, and then your chapter of distinction, conducting chapter officer training, which Skills USA makes it very easy to do. They have BOLT, which is an online training for your officers. They also have the leadership conferences where chapter officer training takes place. So you're not on your own with establishing that. Engaging members in committees to conduct chapter activities is something that you need to make sure that you're doing. Also going to the state leadership and skills conference, and then doing at least 7 of the chapter distinction indicators. And so these are all of the indicators below, and you have to do at least 7 of those things. Then you have to complete and record 3 chapter activities. And then it gives you a breakdown for the rubric. So you'll either be a bronze, silver, or a gold chapter when you do your level 2. Now, I will say for brand new chapters, quality chapter is always the easiest one to start with. And then once you get established, then you can move into your level 2 chapter of distinction category. Chapter 3 is going to be a little bit more intensive. Of course, you have to have gotten your level 1 quality award, your level 2 chapter of distinction. You have to be at least a gold chapter of distinction in order to move on to level 3 for model of excellence. And then these are all of the rest of the things that you have to do. And model of excellence is usually announced April 15th. So that schools can prepare to attend nationals, because models of excellence chapters are always acknowledged at the national conference. All right, so there is a chapter management tool that helps you to stay on track, and this comes up as an Excel document. So with this tool, you're able to kind of work through what framework component you're going to be working on, what's the essential element, the secondary element, your target date of completion, if you're doing a fundraiser, what's the income going to be, what's the expenses, and then you are able to now plan out all of your tasks. I would say it is very important to involve your officers in every single part of the process for managing your chapter. All of this cannot fall on the educator. So making sure that and it's because we're doing 6,000 other things, we don't have the time. So if you utilize these mini lesson plans, it will allow you to empower your students to help you to really manage your chapter. So moving into the lesson plans, I mentioned the Skills USA framework before. The Skills USA framework is the basis of what skills is all about and what our students should be learning in the classroom. So these lesson plans break down exactly how you introduce the Skills USA framework to your students. It tells you how long the lesson will take and who should participate in it. Some schools require that all students in their pathways are Skills USA members. Some schools treat Skills USA as a separate club. So how you decide to establish your program is completely up to you. I'll say with my program, if my students are in my licensing program, they are required to be a Skills USA member. And as a part of that, Skills USA is very heavily incorporated in my lessons in my classroom. And I don't necessarily always say, okay, this is a Skills USA lesson. I just jump into the framework because the framework breaks down everything that they need to be employable when they graduate. So each of these lessons, like I said, goes very detailed into whatever framework you're talking about at that moment. They give you activities that you can complete. And they're a lot of the activities are really fun and the students enjoy them. Another way to incorporate these lessons is actually, if you don't do it within your classroom, to utilize them at your Skills USA chapter meetings. We did that for a long time until I decided that it was time for me to just fully incorporate it into my classroom. However, what we would do is our Skills USA officers would get together and say, okay, as a group, what framework do you all want to discuss? And then I would do the lesson with the officers, and then the officers would in turn do the lesson with the students at the meeting. So it made our meetings very engaging. The students would be excited to come because they got to do some kind of fun activity that really brought them closer together. So how you decide to structure it, doing one, the other, or both is going to be completely up to you.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Okay, so right now, and girl, I ain't even gonna lie to you. I'm like, whoa, Lord.
I know.
Okay, so you start your chapter.
Mm-hmm.
I heard you talking about these different. Well, is it called a chapter? You start a chapter. You start.
Yes,
Okay,
is.
you start
It's
your
your
chapter.
chapter. It's your
Okay,
chapter. Mm-hmm.
and then I heard you talking about these three levels, these three chapter levels.
Right. So this is the quality chapter of distinction and model of excellence.
Okay, about that.
Yes.
Do you have to do that? I mean, is
Quality chapter is required. So
okay.
if you're on a program of work with your district, which most of us, unless you're on an extended day locally, if you're doing Skills USA and you're getting a stipend for doing it, quality chapter is required.
Okay. So
That's the minimum. And when I tell you it's the easiest thing because you're doing everything in quality anyway. So it's kind of one of those things where, you know, when you sit down to update your resume and it's hard to do, even though you do 6,000 things every day.
Yeah.
That's basically what it is.
Okay.
Filling out the quality and even the level 2 and level 3. It's really just about sitting down and telling them what your chapter is doing. You're
Okay.
already doing it. You just got to tell them what you're doing.
Okay. So so you have to have meetings, of course, but like
Yes.
you said, you go ahead and put most of yours in, like just include them in your classes, in your normal classes.
Right. So I include the lessons in my normal classes, but
Okay.
we have to have chapter meetings because
Okay.
here's the thing. What I do in cosmetology has nothing to do with what's happening in graphic design and engineering and automotive technologies and culinary and all of the other programs in CTAE that are a part of Skills USA. So when we have our meetings, we're meeting together as a whole. And I'm gonna say this. If you are the only person on your campus that is doing Skills USA, that is a problem. If you are at a school that has a full CTAE department.
Right, yeah.
So everybody that is represented by Skills USA competition wise should be a member. And I'm talking about the teachers, and they should be talking about it in their classrooms. Now, healthcare, yes, Skills USA does have healthcare competitions, but healthcare students have HOSA. Culinary students have FCCLA. So if they are not a part of it, that's fine. But cosmetology, graphic design, automotive, engineering, those programs, audio visual, they should be a part of your Skills USA chapter. So that's a conversation that you and your department chair and your administrator might want to get into, to say, okay, we need to establish everybody needs to be a part of Skills USA, because it is in everyone's standards to do. Well, it should be. If it's not, it should be. In Georgia, it is. It's in every CTAE. In Georgia, we're called CTAE, not CTE, but everybody should have something going on with their CTSO.
Okay. So how many meetings do you have to have?
So we just meet once a month. We meet the first Tuesday of every month as a group. And then individual advisors based upon how you're preparing your students for competition. I try to do as much as possible in my class. So that's a whole nother beast, incorporating Skills USA into your classroom. But for me personally, I do a lot with my students that are going to competition in class. Whereas my graphic design teacher, she can't really incorporate it into her class. So therefore she meets with her kids after school. So what you're able to do is what you're able to do. So you just have to kind of figure out what you can work into your program.
Miss Lily left a comment and said, I have a manicure school, just nails, and I want to do skills with my students.
You can do that. Skills USA does have nail competitions. So you absolutely can go ahead and get you a chapter established, and you all can compete for nails. What state are you in?
Kansas.
Kansas?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, that's where nationals used to be for a long time. Kansas City, you're in Kansas, not like Kansas, Missouri.
No, Kansas City, Kansas is where I'm at.
That's where nationals was for skills for a long time, for years. But yeah, you can establish a chapter, and then your students can, and it's not just the nail competitions that they could compete in. So let me take that back. They could do the nail competitions, but then there's competitions for oh God, there's leadership competitions, there's how to conduct a business meeting, a chapter meeting competitions. I mean, there's so many competitions that's outside of just the hands-on on what we do. So there's a lot that your students could get out of having a skills chapter established at a nail school.
Is the process the same? Is the process the same for teachers who are not in high schools?
So as far as the program of work requirements, no. The program of work requirement is tied to high school teachers who are being paid a stipend for having a chapter. Now, the process of creating a chapter is the same for everybody, no matter where you are. But just that requirement of working through your program of work and submitting all of this information by certain deadlines, that's going to be specific to high school teachers.
Okay. Whew.
I know. Don't get overwhelmed. I know it's a lot. It sounds like a lot, but when you start doing it, it's really not that bad.
Okay. Well, okay. So where do we find the competitions? Like, how do we know?
Okay. I was like, hold tight. Because
okay. That ain't even what we need to be focused on right now.
Yeah, right now.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay. But I will take you. Okay. So once you join Skills USA
Mhm.
As an advisor, and you do that through your state website. Not, okay. So
Yes.
but once you establish, you will get login credentials for absorb.skillsusa.org.
Okay.
Absorb is where, and I've already logged in, but this is where everything is located. So the technical standards for your competitions are going to be here, and these are always going to be the national technical standards. Your framework integration toolkit. So this is how you this is curriculum, and it's going to break down how you can integrate the framework into your classes as well as into your meetings. There is your advisor professional development. So these are classes that you can take as an advisor that's going to help you to understand how to run your chapter. So your program of work toolkit, this is going to, again, help to break down everything you need to know about the program of work. Then you have some different e-courses that, again, are professional developments for teachers. You have a learner's guide to Absorb. So if you're trying to figure out this whole Skills USA Absorb, this is information just for that. And then the skilled and technical science career competitions are listed here. So your question was specifically about competitions. The technical standards is where you would go and you can see all of the competitions that are available to us. So there's the leadership development career competitions, the occupationally related career competitions, and the skilled and technical science competitions. And then if there's ever any updates for competitions, it's going to be listed here. They typically update for the upcoming year at like end of July, early August is when this website updates with new information. No, I told a lie. It's usually like, is it September? I think it's September. September sounds right. It's either September or October. Because, yeah, I'll be mad because it don't be soon enough. Yeah, so it'll be like September. All right. Nope, I didn't mean to click on that. Let's go back. All right. So these are all of the competitions that are available under our skilled area, and then cosmetology. Now, with cosmetology, they have the technical standards. These are the national technical standards. And then they have this cosmetology local career competition guide. Let me tell you. So with the cosmetology, the aesthetics, the barbering, and the nail care competitions that are at regionals, you can only have one student compete. So a lot of people always say, well, how do I pick the one student to where it's fair? Because all of us have those students that kind of rise above in the classroom, and you kind of lean on them and look to them to help you and do all of these things. However, we don't ever want to show favoritism. So having a local competition is your best friend, because if you do your local competition, you have some third-party people come in to judge. Whoever wins your local competition can then move forward to represent your chapter at regionals, if that's how you want to do it. So they actually give you a full guide on how to conduct a local competition. Now, of course, according to this guide, you should have started planning this last year if you're going to do it next school year. But that's because they give you the time to really thoroughly map it out. But if you can take a look at these local career competition guide, and if it's something that you want to do, of course, you can adjust the timeline so that you can make it happen before, and that way you'll know who's going to represent you, at regionals. Your technical standards, when you click on these, is literally just taking you full on to the national technical standards for this competition. So it's going to tell you everything from what to wear, what you need to bring, what's required. Every competition requires a resume, and then all of the guidelines and the competencies for the entire competition. Okay. Now keep in mind your state competition is going to come from the national standards, but it's going to be a fraction of, because again, national takes place over 3 days, whereas state, your state competition is up to your state, whether it's going to be 1 day or 2 days, and then regionals typically is only 1 day. So everything is derived from nationals, but it breaks down at state and then breaks down even more at regionals. Okay.
I have a question. Greetings from Alabama.
Hey.
The question is, do you all have a natural hair competition, state competition? Because we're working on a national one. We've already sent in the paperwork for it, but we've been doing it. This is the 2nd year. I created it for my for the state of Alabama. I did, and I would love some insight and things that we could do different from you guys, or help you all guys to get y'all a natural hair. It's a braiding competition. And
okay, that's amazing. If you don't mind sharing what you've established for Alabama. So I would love for Georgia to have that, and I would absolutely present it to our board.
Yes.
And I know July 1st was the deadline to get anything into for nationals, but you've already submitted.
We've already submitted, and we just haven't. They said that we had to get is it 11 people, 11 states, or somebody, so many states on board with it, and we know that we've got several that are very, very interested in it.
Well, I can tell you right now, in Georgia, if you would be interested, please send that information my way.
I will.
Yes, I have a board meeting next month, and I'm going to be on it.
Yay!
That sounds really good.
Yes.
I think that would be good for Texas too, because I know for me, I have a lot of students who are very talented in natural hairstyling and braiding and things like that. So that would definitely be good.
And the reason why I created it, because we have girls that can style hair, that cut hair, but then we have people that are so creative with braiding, but they never get that
opportunity
to be shown and showcased, like the one who do hair cutting and color and things of that nature. So I thought this would be a great opportunity to showcase some more things that we do in cosmetology.
That's awesome.
Great. Would you send me that information too, and then I can send it to talk to the people from at state for us for Texas? I'm on my phone because my computer, the camera on my computer doesn't work. So with competition, depending on each state, as Miss Douglas said, each state is different, which everybody should be following national standards, because that's where our kids are going. So I was on a board for Texas when I was instructing, and we were trying to get as close as we could to, or we're getting there to where we're at the national standards. Now, you have your district competitions, and sometimes when we have our district competitions, we have to shorten those contests because the limited time. Okay, I know here in Texas, some of our district competitions, I know for our District 6, we went to 3 days for contest, and it was 4th day for your awards ceremony. With cosmetology, if I can pull it up on my computer here really quick, I had it. Stick to your national standards. What I do suggest with the national standards is for you to go over it with your student, whichever competition that your students are choosing to go to, go through it and walk through them. One of the things that I see that educators coming from the industry and then going to becoming an educator and then going back into the industry, what I've noticed kids not saying, and it breaks my heart because I see it at state and I see it at district. Your students are not set up to succeed. Okay. I'm not saying your students, but a lot of the Cosmo Barber students, because we're not going over those standards with them. What I do is what has worked for me when I was teaching, I kept a notebook with all the standards in it, and they can go in there, grab a copy of it, and they take it with them. And we sat down and we broke it down. And then I taught them to go to your state website. Okay. When you go to your state website, teach them how to go through that, because then they also can ask questions through your state person who's over the competitions as well. But with us as advisors, it helps us especially the one that said they only had one, it will support you to have your students, one, learn, because in industry, you're going to have to learn how to find out how to do things on your own sometimes, because not everybody is helpful. Okay. Two, it makes them stronger when it comes to skills, and it gives them ownership. Okay. And that's what skills is a lot about too, is about ownership and teamwork and whatnot. So when you go into your scopes, you want to look at those standards and say, okay, here, make sure what your dress code is. Okay. I know here in Texas, we changed up a couple of things when it came to the hose, the socks, and if not to wear them or where to wear them. So those are a couple of things that have changed last year. They didn't have to wear in certain competitions. They didn't have to wear hose or socks. Then with like say, I'll go with cosmetology. Last year, we did do what state did. They did the color the day before. Okay. I mean, what nationals did. They did the color before, the day before. Then the day of competition, they did the rest of them just like nationals. Okay. And then they finished out that competition there. We're trying to hear, I'm speaking for Texas right now, because we are trying to stick closest to nationals, because again, we're not setting up our students to fail. We want them to succeed. So we're trying to keep them there, because if you're going to district, you got to explain to them, hey, we're not going to do the color this way here, but at state and nationals we are, and you have to prepare them for those. Okay. Because if you don't, your kids are going, what in the world just happened? Why did I not win? They could have been the best talented. They could have followed the scopes and everything, and it still didn't. Now, cosmetology, you have your updo, right? The first one, you have your updo. So the color's done before, okay, the day before. Depending on if they're changing it this year, I'll find out later in the year. Then they'll do their updo the day of competition, the full competition. Then they do a men and women's haircut. Just know with this, just like at nationals, they will not give you a picture of what kind of haircut they're doing. Okay. In the past, they used to give pictures. Okay. They don't anymore. The reason for these competitions is to teach your students to be successful out in the industry, which means that we have to stay within learning what the trends are, what's happening and whatnot. So that way we're setting them up. And this is things that industry has asked of skills, so we can prepare the kids when they go. Okay. I know some of us were like, well, we're only have enough time to teach to pass the test. Right. And that's what they're learning. And sometimes you think, okay, so we're trying to get it as close as we can. I know, especially in Texas, but whoever does your district competitions in your state, you need to have conversation, voice your opinion, because that's one of the things that has happened in the past. I know for us in Texas that the opinion they weren't given us opinions and feedback, and finally we're getting those feedbacks and we're going, okay, this is what we're going to do. Okay. So we're sticking as close as we can to nationals. But like I said, again, for your district level, if you have your district levels, well, Jasmine, they should have district level competitions, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to have, we call them regional.
Okay.
Yeah. So whether it be district level or regional level, you should be having those to establish who's going to go on to state, then go on to nationals.
Perfect. So you got to make sure you're connecting with those your district, whoever is over those districts, because it could be an educator, it could be somebody from the industry. Find out who those people are, because then you'll set up your kids for success. Because I will say that people have a tendency to try to tweak those competitions because of time. Okay. You want to set them up when you're reading for your standards, look at their dress code, look at their equipment. Okay. Just because they're not using their equipment doesn't mean that it doesn't need to be in their kit bag. Okay. That's why Nationals has their scopes, and they tell you, here's what we need. And also make sure, this is where a lot of confusion happens in the scopes or your standards. It has, hey, this is going to be provided. Okay. This happened to me last year. At one of the district competitions that I was, I don't know, not heading, but I was judging. They were like, well, y'all were supposed to provide all of this. And I'm going, oh, I've never seen a district providing it. That's what the scope says. So talk to your district or your regional, whoever your competition, you need to find out if they are supplying it, because at nationals, they supply a lot of stuff. And those standards have the, yes, we're going by those standards, but we don't add a level at that level, since it is a smaller level, depending on what area you're in. Make sure that you're finding out what you need to take. Okay. But like I said, with the kit check, make sure everything's in there. Whatever that kit check says, that list says on your scope, on your standards, make sure they have that in their bag. Okay. Because a lot of the times it's all or nothing for the points. Okay. Because it only, I know my scorecards, I know just says all or nothing. If they're missing something there, we can't take points. It's all or nothing. Resumes. I used to always have extras, have the students put extras in their thing, because you didn't know, sometimes those judges, they are industry and they'd like to sometimes take those with them. But resumes also make sure that they're one page and not more than one page. I know in Texas, that's what we look at, because that's a lot of the businesses or industry say they like those one pagers. So make sure they have that. Read over how the time limits, because people always say, well, I thought we had more than this time. Those are and that's with all the competitions, because those are the things that you got to make sure. And those are the things that break my heart, because it is, the students are like, well, my teacher didn't tell me, my advisor didn't tell me. And that's why I always say, teach them your state, how to get into their state website, teach them how to go over those scopes, break it down for them. Because once you break it down with them, I'm telling you, I've left competitions crying sometimes, because I'm like, this child was so talented. She should have got first place. And guess what? It in an hour. Now, I know in the state of Texas, we used to be able to do we used to have the exam, their test that they take. They used to do it with us during contests. We don't do it during contests anymore. It is done like at the district level, we do it in there with us, but at the state level, we don't. Okay. Because state is a bigger level. So with district, I will say this, walk them through those competitions, sit down with them, say, I know what worked best for me was I would spend a week on skills after school, or 3 days. One day I did cosmetology and I went through the whole competition. Whoever was going to do competition, and like Miss Jasmine said, do one. If you had 6 people that wanted to do competition, then we'd have to have in school. What did you call it, Jasmine? I forgot. When you did it for your group.
Are you talking about your local competition?
Yes, your local. I forgot the word. Have your local competition, because I know the school that I worked for, we had a lot of students wanting to compete. So when you're competing at a local level, find some industry people to come help you judge. Okay. Because I know for barbering, at one point I had 10 people wanted to do it. Now, if you're at a school with 4, I know at the school that I had, we had 4 teachers, and each one of them was a chapter. Okay. They have to stay within that chapter. Okay. They can't, a 9th grader can't compete with me, which I was an 11th grade teacher. Okay. So they'd have to stay within their chapter and their teacher. Have that local, get some industry in there, and, not say weed out the people that, make sure that you have the ones that are following the standards to the tube, because it also teaches them responsibility. Okay. To make sure that they have everything in order. And then that way, if fair is fair, the kids who are going to, they're judging, the industry is judging, the teacher's not doing it, and you're not going to be playing favorites, because you'll have industry. Right. Your local, your district, like I said, again, with district, make sure you talk to your district, whoever's doing your district. Now your state. I am chair for one of the competitions here in Texas for the nail art 3D and flat. I go by the scope that we create, and I make sure the teachers have that, and I try to explain to them at the end of state competition, because they had many questions after the competition. So I took some time and I talked to them about the competition and, why they had some questions. And I explained to them, for the ones who wanted to be there, why why one student did do this or whatnot, because it enables them to grow. State, again, we go by the standards, the national standards, because we don't want our kiddos going to nationals not knowing what they were going to get themselves into in nationals, because it can be a bit overwhelming of what I'm told. I haven't got to go to nationals, but now that Jasmine says that I can buy a ticket and I can go and be a observer, I'm gonna go, because I've had so many cause students, aesthetics. We had one aesthetic student that won nationals twice. Same thing with aesthetics. Y'all check with your state when it comes to your competitions, because aesthetics, to me, it can be funny when it comes to the makeup that can be used for fantasy makeup. Okay. Make sure you talk to them, but it has to stick to the nationals. Again, that's one of the things that we had here in Texas not last year, but the years before. It was like, well, national says this, how come we can't use this? And at state, they could use this, or a district that you use. Just stick to the national. I know here in Texas, that's what we're doing. So you have to stick by the states, like Ms. Douglas was saying, is look at your state website. I know Texas website right now is going maintenance, under some maintenance. I was trying to pull it up so to send y'all through some areas, but they are going through some maintenance today, of all days, right? So again, barbering, I want to say this, because I work with barbering nationals person. Okay. Well, not work with her, but I know her and I've supported her in certain areas. Just know that they do not use guards, y'all. They cannot use guards.
What can they use? Blade?
It's clipper over comb.
Oh.
Clipper over comb.
Okay.
It's barbering, y'all. It's not cause barbering. It's barbering.
Dang.
So it's you know how cosmetologists, we do the clippers and then we go back with the comb and we go in there, right? No, it's straight up barbering. So just make sure that utilize your industry, y'all. Utilize your industry. If you're going over clipper cuttings, call a barbershop and ask if there's some. I know some of the students that I have that have graduated past alumni and done skills and competed in that contest. What has happened is they're willing to come back. They're like, Miss Clifton. I said, well, I'm not teaching anymore. November of last year was my last year of teaching. But I wanted to go back in the industry because I want to support the kids when they get out. And I know the skills kids and I know the kids that want to come into industry. I want to help them out. Okay. I love teaching, but I can only teach to the book and the test. So I wanted to do more. So with that being said, is go to your industry and say, hey, look, my kid is going to be one of my students is going to be competing in the barbering contest, but they're not allowed to use guards. And I would like to see if I can get your support. Mm-hmm. Go to your industry, because industry is who's judging these competitions. And I will say at nationals, it's all industry judging those competitions. Okay. Yep. And again, go through the only thing I can show you the scopes and go through the scope and whatnot. But I will say this, sit down with your babies, go through that. I know we get busy with other things, but it's real important. And then if you have somebody who's gone through these competitions there, have them go over it, your officers, because of course your officers have to compete in a leadership competition. I know for us, it was a leadership competition and a hands-on, your technical, because in order for them to be skills USA leaders, they got to know the competitions that are set out. So just make sure that you walk them through those scopes. Make sure that, like I say, have them highlight what they don't understand. Dress code. I know for state is a little bit more lenient, but for for nationals, make sure that they have to have a Skills USA thing on there of what I last heard. Jasmine, has that changed with their attire?
No, it has to be, at nationals, it has to be official attire.
Okay, perfect.
States have made adjustments due to the financial
strain
of it, but if they make it to nationals, they got to find the money.
Yep.
Dang.
And there are scholarships and things like that are available. A lot of the local state chapters will offer scholarships. I know Skills USA Georgia offers scholarships to help students who are going to nationals to be able to afford with, either the registration costs or the uniforms that they'll need to wear. And fundraising. Fundraise for your chapters.
Yes. I will tell you this, y'all. When I was fundraising, the biggest fundraiser we had was our haunted house. I know last year we made $1,400.
Off a haunted house. That's cool. Well, how did y'all
tell me more?
Right.
We made $1,400. So we do a pre-sale. And it's all the students. This is what I did for them. Yes, no, maybe, let me ask. No, the district's not gonna let you do that. Okay. Don't use smoke machines, okay, because it will set up your fire alarm. That happened to us one year. They were happy with us. So we used our salon area. We had 43 chairs in there, so it was a big area and 2 classrooms. The students would use one classroom to set it up, like to have a big room, and then they'd go through the shampoo area. They'd go through the they'd go through the shampoo area, the station. So we made a trail to where they can go out. My classroom was always, hey, leave all your stuff here, and then I'll feed you here. They would go in. One year we had, so many themes. We've been doing it for the last 4 years. So we do pre-sale would be $5, and at the door it would be what was it? It was $8 at the door, because we want everybody to do the pre-sale. And it was the students would find their friends. It wasn't an open to the public. It was only open to DeBisky. I worked at that school, and it was only open to DeBisky and the students that were there and the parents of the cosmetology department.
Y'all did really good to only be open for the school and to make that much money.
Yeah, those students were hungry, especially after COVID. There was
I have a fundraising idea that I did this summer. I did a cosmetology camp for grades 3 through 6.
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
I got sponsors to buy. We had a photo booth. The sponsors paid for that. The sponsors bought all the mannequins that they got to play with and take home. Jack's provided breakfast. McDonald's provided lunch.
Oh, nice.
I had people to counseling services that counsel with the schools to donate gift bags. So they had all that, and I had cleared $1,700, and it was from 9 to 4.
How many kids were enrolled?
I had 33 enrolled, but maybe 30 came.
But how many weeks? Was it just a 1 week?
1 day, and I
charged
$60, and I made it.
Can you please send us that information?
That's crazy.
Yes, and parents are looking for something different for their kids to do in the summer. And this also, I use it as a recruiting to introduce them to things that they could do in the cosmetology department. Oh, I want to do this when I grow up. This is exactly what I want to do. And so it was so much fun. I had volunteers. You get your other cosmetology instructor friends or stylists from the area to volunteer. Oh, we had a counseling session. What they talked about when the professional counselors talked about bullying and self-esteem, and they did little activities with them. And it was just so much fun. We had something to do every hour, all day. It was from 9 to 4, and it went by so quick.
Can you share this, please?
I will. I will.
Yeah,
I am the type I would share. Because when one win, we all win. We all want to keep our industry relevant. So these are some of the things we're going to have to do.
Yeah.
Yes. Here, I'll send you the information and then you can share it out.
Yes, definitely.
I'd love to.
The kids need that. And for Skills USA, and that's one of the things that I will say, I know if you have your Skills USA, Skills USA account, make sure that you're going to have to keep up with the money on your books, because that's one of the things for the advisor, not the advisor, for the excellence program. That's part of the stuff that you have to do, the chapter's excellence program. But make sure you keep up with your books, and that money it's like I used to tell the teachers all the time, is that money's for the kids, okay? Because they fundraise it. It's for the program. If you're not at a school that doesn't give you a budget, then that is the money that you're using for your program. You know, some schools give you a certain amount of budget for each year, okay? But if they don't, then that's the money that you're using for your kids' mannequins or whatnot. But that's also what we've done. I know in the past what I've done as well, with the team that I was working with, you know, make sure that, like, say for like nail care, you have to have the apron for skills, order it online, but have three small, 4 medium, or whatever it is. You know, your kids have it there, so that way they don't have to buy it. They just can reuse it every year, and check it out, and then have them cleaned. That way you're not buying every year, and every student's not buying here. We have a set. You have a set that they can utilize as well.
Mm-hmm. That sounds
I
good.
have a question about uniforms. What state are you from? Colorado?
I'm from Texas.
I'm sorry, from Texas. Do y'all have to wear the white smocks for national?
Yep, everybody's wearing the smocks.
Okay. Well, we're trying for the natural hair. We're trying to get them to let us do the black smocks.
Oh, that would be good.
I think it would be. I mean, to me, it's my personal opinion that white smock is just like dated. It's dated. It was back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with that.
We get all kind of color and all kind of stuff on there. And it's just, and I just think, ma'am.
I said, I would love to see the barbering with the black ones too.
Yes.
All of us. Black is our industry color. We all should be in black. I don't know why they're still doing
Yes,
white.
I don't understand it either. But we got to get together with our state directors and let them know that's what we want.
And they laugh. The white ones get dingy and ugly.
Yes. And you have to buy them more often.
Well, it is 11:11.
It is.
So we are over, and I think this was really good. I think that we'll probably need a part 2 to be able to just get a little more specific. Like, I have my chapter, now what? You know what I mean? Like, what is my next step? And just kind of breaking through some of the steps to help some of us teachers who are a little more like, like, I don't know about this, just to kind of help us feel a little more confident. So I think we should do a part 2, but that's just my opinion. What y'all think?
I love it.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, we will see how it works out. I may see if I can get some different people to come in and be able to kind of help us out, because I know for me, these Mondays are just really convenient. I don't work, and it's been kind of really convenient. But we'll see, and I'll make a poll, and we'll see if y'all even want to have another. We'll get it figured out.
Can I ask a quick question before we close out?
Mm-hmm.
To you guys, I know we're late. I'm sorry. So for you guys who worked in private schools and now you're in public schools, which do you like best?
I'll answer. Going into it, I honestly thought I was going to not like the public school system. However, I don't know if it's the district that I work for, the school that I work for, but I've really been given full autonomy to do whatever I want to do with my program.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was in the private school sector, I was micromanaged and had to go by the structure that they had set, whether it made sense for me or not.
Mm-hmm.
In the public school setting, I'm the subject matter expert. So when it comes to my program, what I say goes.
Yeah.
And so therefore, I love it. I have full autonomy to do whatever I want, which I thought it was going to be the exact opposite. Mm-hmm. Yes, they give me the standards, teach your standards, make sure that your students pass your end of pathway assessment. Outside of that, how you get to Walmart, they don't care. They just want you to get to Walmart. And so therefore, every creative idea that I have had in my brain for years has been like just vomiting it out onto these children. And it has been so much fun. So I love it, honestly. So yeah, it's basically me opening up my own cosmetology school without having to spend the money to do it.
Right. I
agree
agree.
with you, Jasmine.
Yeah.
It was the same for me. It was a challenge at first transitioning from teaching young adults, and even, I had students that were sometimes older than, myself.
Mhm.
But transitioning from that to teenagers that had no clue, um, it was a challenge for me. But just as you, I came into a new program at the school that I'm teaching now, which was their first time having a cosmetology program. So I was like, do whatever you want to do. We just need to get this program up and running. So that was something exciting for me. So, but I totally agree with what you said, and that's how, as far as teaching, I kind of do miss. That's why I want to try to get my program to the point where they can go ahead and start getting their hours instead of my program just being an elective.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
Yeah.
I totally agree with what you said, Jazz.
Me too. I agree as well. I think yeah, I mean there are some differences, and if I'm honest, if I could do it my way, I would. I don't know. I kind of miss adults, just the maturity and just that on that level. But like the other lady said, I 100% agree, because I have free range to do whatever I want to do, however I want to do it with my students, and that is very convenient for me. So I like the public school. But for you opened your own school. So you still have that free range to do whatever you want to do, however you want to do it. So I can imagine that is probably even better, because you are teaching adults, they're mature, they are paying to be there.
I was gonna say, are adults mature though?
Yeah, that's true. Some
And,
of them are
and
not.
it's all on me. Like I have
Yeah.
no support. Like you guys have support of the school. I'm listening about the funds that's supplied and all of that.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
so everything's on me, because I have played with the idea. Honestly, this is a lot of work.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I played with the idea, should I go and apply at a school, for that help? But then I know there's challenges there, but I don't know what that is fully, with trying to get a school off the ground.
See, the challenges in public school don't really apply to CTE.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's like a lot of times I feel like my time is being wasted because I'm sitting in a meeting that has nothing to do with me.
Girl, Lord,
Right.
Jesus.
Yes.
So that's frustrating, because I'm
This don't have
like,
nothing to do with us.
I don't teach an EOC class, so why am I sitting in this meeting?
Exactly.
Like, so that's the part that gets on my nerves, is when CTE is not respected in that manner. Because I'm like, y'all are making all these changes and doing all of this stuff and implementing all of this stuff, and it don't have nothing to do with us. Because no matter what y'all say in this meeting, we still gonna do what we do, because what y'all talking about ain't got nothing to do with us.
Right.
So yeah.
That's very true.
And I think, Jasmine, another challenge I would just put out there, I think I mentioned it before, for me, just being my class in elective, at a lot of times that I hear, some students that other teachers have referred to, elective classes as, well, don't worry about your grade being low because it really doesn't count. You don't need it. That right there, I hate that, because when they get in my class, they feel like they do not have to work.
So let me tell you how I nipped that in the bud, because there was no respect when I first got here. And I graduated from this school 20 years ago, and there was some respect on CTAE back then. But as the years have gone by, the respect was lost. So what I did was started partnering with those core teachers so they could see what we doing in here. So when I'm going over anatomy and I look at their standards, I go to the science teacher, I go to the biology standards. I'm like, when they gonna be covering this? And then I'll shoot them an email. Hey, I noticed that you're covering XYZ in class. I have to cover that too. I have no problem moving when I'm going to cover it, so we can do it at the same time. Let's partner up. And then I brought them my textbook and opened it up. And they looking like, y'all do this? Oh, yes, we do. put some respect on my name. What you're not gonna do is act like I'm just over here teaching them how to play in some hair.
Exactly.
So as a
Yeah.
matter of fact, since you're a science major, this is what you went to school for. How about we partner up and you show, my kids, and then I can give your kids the practical part of it. You can give my kids the theory part of it.
I
And they're like,
love
okay, cool. So once I started doing that, they was like, oh yeah, they do a lot in cosmetology. I ain't know. And the word spread real quick.
Okay.
So yeah, partner up with them teachers, and get the ones that be talking mess too. When students tell me stuff like that, I'll be like, oh, okay.
Oh yeah, it's
Can't
on
wait.
now.
Because I've had students tell me that. I've had teachers that email me, can so-and-so come redo a test, retake a test during your class block? No, because I'm covering theory today. Absolutely not. They can't miss my class.
Absolutely not.
Are you
I don't care
crazy?
what I'm covering. No.
No. Like this ain't that type. This is not that. If they miss a day in my
Exactly.
class, they miss a lot. So no,
Exactly.
they can come after school or before school.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was just something that when like when I got there, and then it's like it's already that we have to go through a lot of discipline, and I think a lot of percentage of the time in classroom management we're dealing with discipline.
Mhm.
And so, but yeah, that right there, just telling students, I'm trying to advertise and put my program out there to recruit students. But then on the other hand, you're telling students that, okay, you don't have to worry about this class because this class doesn't count. That right there, yeah, that just it does something to me right there.
Yeah. And that's all about just changing the narrative.
Okay.
Because a lot of times, and this is not every elective teacher, but there's people who get into a job because they're passionate about it. And then there's people that get into a job to get a check so they can retire.
Mhm.
So the narrative is not there just for giggles. It's there because it was established. But what we have to do, and that's usually what we do in our industry, is we always breaking the mold and showing them what it really is. And that's what we got to do.
Yeah.
Whether
Very
it's
true.
right or not, that's what we got to do.
Very true.
Okay. Well, I know what I have to do in my meeting, my planning meeting coming up.
Yeah. All right, ladies, I don't know if there's any gents on here. I don't think so, but thank y'all so much for attending this meeting. Bye, y'all.
All right,
Bye.
guys. Y'all have a good week.
You as well.